In the midsize truck world, the Toyota Tacoma is the king, even outliving and outselling all the domestic brands here in the US market. Now, of course, with new competition from Ford, General Motors, and even Nissan, Toyota felt the pressure, so they're finally giving us an all-new version of the Tacoma for 2024. And as you can see, this week we are out here in Hawaii on this rather rainy day, but we're finally getting a chance to take a look at this redesigned model. Toyota even brought out the TRD Pro, the Trail Hunter, the TRD Sport, and a limited trim, so let's go ahead and finally take a first look. So I know in the intro it didn't really look like we were in Hawaii, but as you can see right behind me among the clouds is actually the Pacific Ocean, because we are here on the big island of Hawaii and Toyota has a very important new model to show us. Now you also probably noticed I've switched over to a different trim. This is going to be the most luxury oriented trim of the Tacoma. This is the top of the line limited, although technically the halo trims are the TRD Pro and the new Trail Hunter trim, which we'll show you on later on. This vehicle here has been teased relentlessly because we all knew an all-new version of the Tacoma was coming. This is built on the same TNGA F truck architecture that also underpins the Tundra and the Sequoia. And the look of this truck, finally seeing it out in the sheet metal, is very much baby Tundra. Although I think Toyota did a better job here in implementing that styling language here. This truck was designed, of course, at their design team in California for the American market, where it's built in America. So this is an all-American truck, even though it is a Toyota. Now you can see with the limited trim, you get some unique styling elements here. You have the kind of chrome grille at the front with the Toyota logo. You also have the same LED fog lights down here at the lower front fascia. There's a lot more chrome trim. And then you can see here, there's this really ugly front air dam. This is of course for aerodynamics to improve the fuel efficiency. This model here is the Hybrid Max powertrain. I suspect most owners are going to probably take that off immediately and say to the hell with the gas mileage, because it just makes the truck look a lot more wimpy. All Tacomas are going to come standard with their full LED headlights. You can see there's also a sequential LED turn signal, LED low and high beams, and then there's some functional vents, some non-functional vents as well. But overall, let me know what you guys think in the comments of the styling. I think it's a home run. This is easily one of my favorites in terms of design for midsize trucks. Probably the GMC Canyon, the new one, is a close second. But moving around the side profile, Toyota is going to once again offer the Tacoma in two cab configurations. There's going to be an extra cab, which is kind of like an extended cab without doors. It just gives you a little bit more space in the back. And then most of them are going to have the double cab configuration. This is the 4 full-size doors. This is what people tend to buy, but Toyota said that a lot of customers were asking for that extra cab. I don't have final dimensions of the new Tacoma. However, if you look at the previous generation, this should be pretty similar, which means its overall length is probably around 212 inches long. I suspect it's going to be a little bit longer. Wheelbase is around 127 inches long, but overall you can see the profile is pretty similar, but it also is kind of instantly recognizable as an all-new truck. Now you can see the limited grade gives you these 18-inch wheels with a chrome finish. It's wrapped in a 265 by 65 R18 tire. These are general grabber, kind of more street-oriented tires. You can see you have these massive disc brakes. You have an upgraded suspension, and unlike the previous generation, now Toyota Tacomas come standard with 4-wheel disc brakes. So for those of you who always hated on Toyota for putting drums at the rear, all Tacomas now get 4-wheel disc brakes, which is again a great improvement in that tech department. Now, the side mirrors you can see here are covered in chrome. Along with the door handles, there's an integrated turn signal mirrors. No pano roof. Toyota doesn't offer that on the Tacoma. Instead, you do get the option of a sunroof. But one feature that you couldn't get on any compact truck or midsize truck is when I open the door, check that out. It's got power deploying running boards. That's included only on this specific trim of the Tacoma. Now at the rear, you also get the first ever multi-link coil spring suspension. It's not an independent suspension, but the leaf springs have been swapped out for the coil springs, which should improve the ride quality. And this trim here is the only Tacoma to get the adaptive variable suspension. So you have that adaptive suspension, which again should improve the ride quality of this truck. At the rear here, you can see kind of some unique cues here to the limited grade. It spells out Tacoma at the back. Taillights resemble the Tundra. And then you also have this really nice little integrated step right here, which is great. And then there's also a button here that you can push that also will allow you to open up the tailgate back here, which is also power opening and closing. And then this one here, you can see is an early pre-production model, but I do love all the LED lighting back here. And this one here also has a 5-foot bed. You can also get the limited with a 6-foot bed for those of you who need the extra utility. Now, the previous generation Tacoma was kind of underpowered in the powertrain department, so to fix that, Toyota has really made some huge upgrades. Now, for those of you who love the V6 engine, you can kiss it goodbye because it's been replaced by the company's new 2.4-liter turbocharged direct and port injection 4-cylinder engine. This is essentially the same engine that we've seen in vehicles like the Lexus NX, the Lexus RX, the Toyota Crown offers it, the Toyota Grand Highlander, the Toyota Highlander offers it. In the Tacoma, they're offering it in 3 specific tunes. Now, the base tune has around 228 horsepower and 243 pound-feet of torque. That is only offered on the base SR trim. That's the lowest trim level of the Tacoma. I don't have any fuel economy figures just yet. Now, if you guys want a stick shift, the Tacoma is the only option in the segment that offers a manual. When you have it with the manual like this one, the numbers have been ramped up to 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. Those are very good numbers, especially in the torque department. If you guys go with any other trim with the 8-speed automatic, so if you guys want a manual, it's a 6-speed with active rev matching. The 8-speed auto is the other transmission. Then the power gets ramped up even further to 278 horsepower, which actually matches the output of the outgoing V6. However, the torque figure is 317 pound-feet. So that's a substantial 52 more than what you got in the old V6. That's going to give this better real-world performance. If you guys remember my reviews on the old Tacomas, you'll remember that I don't really like the V6 or that old 6-speed automatic. Now, Tacomas are available in either rear or part-time or full-time 4-wheel drive. Most of them are going to have the part-time 4-wheel drive system. I don't have fuel economy figures just yet. I don't have performance figures just yet. I do know that this model here will tow a maximum of 6,500 pounds. It's a little bit more versus the hybrid. However, we don't have a payload figure just yet or the curb weight figures. But as you can see, the engine isn't really pretty, but it's a truck. And I love the fact that Toyota is now giving us a lot more torque. Now, I also want to show you guys really quickly the TRD Sport trim, because this trim is designed to be the sportiest option in the Tacoma family. You can see it has a hood scoop over here, although it is not functional. It's just there for looks. It has its own unique design to the grille, and you can also see the headlights are slightly different. They are a full LED design. However, the turn signals appear to not be a full LED with the sequential design. You still have those LED fog lights, and you can see a lot of the chrome from the Limited has kind of been blacked out or grayed out, so it gives it that kind of sportier look to it. The TRD Sport also is available as a double cab, and you can see it also includes these unique wheels. These are an 18-inch wheel wrapped in a 265 by 65 R18 tire. It's definitely a nice looking wheel. I love the TRD badge in the center cap. And overall, I love it in this blue exterior color. It definitely does a really great job over there. Now, at the rear of the truck, you can see there's some TRD Sport badging over here. It has the same kind of taillight design with Tacoma at the back. None of those chrome bright accents, but you can see there is a Sport exhaust system over here with the Sport trim along with some blacked out trim. But let me go ahead and show you guys the interior really quick, because that's where this truck is super unique. Because in a world where everybody is killing the manuals, Toyota is saving the manuals, because as you can see here, it's got a 6-speed manual transmission with active rev matching. I also love the fact that you have kind of blue accents in this TRD Sport trim. The manual itself, it's a truck manual, so as you can feel, it has really long throws. They feel a little bit rubbery, but it kind of feels like the previous generation, so I'm wondering if this transmission has just kind of been taken off from that truck and then just upgraded a little bit. The clutch itself has kind of a medium travel and medium heft, so I suspect this is probably an easy truck to also drive and get used to it when you want to start it up. The battery is dead, so ignore that. Oh, ignore that.
Come on, baby.
Oh, it won't start. That's embarrassing. You told me to start it.
Because I wanted to get an exhaust clip for the Sport.
Oh boy.
Exhaust.
So never mind, these are all pre-production trucks, and they've been going through some long days with so many journalists filming it, so we'll have to show you guys a startup later. But overall, if you guys want a manual transmission in your mid-size truck, this is the only player in town, and I love the fact that Toyota is saving the manuals. So it's not the truck's fault. Journalists have been kind of in and out of this truck all day long, but we did want to show you guys what the Sport exhaust sounds like, so let's go ahead and fire it up. Now, the base iForce engine will likely be sufficient for most Tacoma buyers. However, if you crave more, if you want more power and more efficiency, we are also getting the first electrified option in the midsize truck space. This right here is the company's 2.4-liter turbocharged engine, 4-cylinder engine that we've seen in vehicles like the Toyota Crown and the Lexus RX 500h. It's paired up with an electric motor that is sandwiched between the new transmission and, of course, the engine. Combined output, Toyota says, is a class-leading 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. Those are huge numbers in the midsize space, and unlike the other vehicles that use this powertrain, Toyota has decided to fit it with an 8-speed automatic transmission, so 2 more gears versus vehicles like the Toyota Grand Highlander or the Toyota Crown. That should give this vehicle more performance and increased fuel efficiency. However, Toyota is not ready to talk about fuel economy figures just yet. They also aren't ready to talk about performance figures just yet, but they did say that this engine can tow a maximum of 6,500 pounds, or I'm sorry, 6,000 pounds, 6,500 on the 2.4 turbo, and it has a maximum payload of around 1,709 pounds when you guys go for the iForce Max. Now, we don't have the curb weight figures just yet, but I probably estimate this is going to be closer to 5,000 pounds. Remember, the battery pack, which is around 1.87 kilowatt hours, remember this is not a plug-in hybrid, plus the electric motors is going to add some complexity and add some weight. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about some of the differences with the TRD Pro trim level. Now, personally, this is my actual favorite in terms of all the Tacomas they brought out here. And check out the styling of the TRD Pro. First of all, you're probably noticing the heritage-inspired grille. It spells out Toyota very boldly at the front. You also have that signature TRD off-road light bar that only works in off-road conditions where you have the high beams on. They won't turn on the road unless you have the high beams on. You have the Rigid Industries fog lights here at the lower front end, and then you can see the headlights. They are a little bit more unique for the TRD Pro. Same sequential turn signal. You also have the TRD Pro badge here in the headlight that actually lights up. It's a really nice touch, and you can really see how much wider the TRD Pro is. This is about 3 inches wider and 2 inches taller versus the standard SR5, and it really gives this a mean, badass look. If you guys love the way that the Tundra looks, you're gonna look at this new Tacoma and think that Toyota did a really great job at just capturing that in a smaller package. Now, like other higher trims of the Tacoma, this only comes as the double cab with the 5-foot bed, and you can also see the two-tone look here. That's going to be standard on the TRD Pro. If you want a single color, you have to buy black, because all the colors that Toyota is going to offer on the TRD Pro will have the two-tone look. I think this looks really good. I love how the roof is black, the side mirrors are black, you have the integrated turn signals, and then you have the full 360 camera around. You can see also the TRD Pro comes with the Fox racing shocks as well, with a 2-inch suspension lift in the front, 1.5-inch suspension lift in the rear. You have these unique 18-inch wheels on these 33-inch Goodyear Wrangler mud terrain tires. And as you can see, the brakes are a little bit larger. Tacomas, like I said earlier, have 4-wheel disc brakes. Finally, for this first time, this model here has the most ground clearance at 11 inches. It even has a little more ground clearance than the Trail Hunter model. So this is going to be, I'm not going to say it's the most off-road capable, but it definitely is going to give you the most ground clearance. Now, like the other higher trims, this also has the new multi-link rear suspension. It's not an independent rear, but it sheds the leaf springs if you guys go for the upper trims. And then at the rear of the TRD Pro, you can see it takes a lot of the styling cues that we saw from the new Tundra. I love how TRD Pro is stamped in the back. You have this iForce Max badge here with the new Beyond Zero badge here, which I'm still not sure how I feel about the Beyond Zero badge, but I do love the new taillights that designs. The exhaust system on this truck, you can't really see it back here, but the TRD Pro has the side out exit exhaust over here on the passenger side, and that is also a TRD catback sport tuned exhaust, which we actually can start this vehicle up, so I want to fire it up. You guys can hear how it sounds real quick. So while some of you may be sad about the loss of the V6, I have to admit that catback exhaust makes that 2.4 turbo sound pretty decent. Now, you'll also probably notice there are some standard red rear recovery tow hooks here. That is actually optional on the lower trim, standard, of course, on the TRD Pro. They just kind of complete the look and give it that more aggressive design. And the other great thing about the TRD Pro and the higher trims of the Tacoma is this power operating opening and closing tailgate. This is a feature that's typically reserved for far more expensive full-size trucks. And as you can see, my Tester is a pretty early pre-production truck, but you get a 5-foot bed as standard on the Pro. If you guys want a 6-foot bed, Toyota does offer that on certain other trims. And because this is a hybrid, you also have a standard power outlet back here that can supply up to 2,400 watts of power. That's a big upgrade versus the 400 watts that you get on the standard iForce model. So if you want to power stuff like a refrigerator or a portable grill back here, you can do so. There's also a nice little hidden storage compartment back here, which is definitely nice. And then when you want to go and close this, all you have to do is just push the button back here. And as you can see, the tailgate will also electrically close. So moving on to the interior of the all-new 2024 Tacoma, I'm going to show you guys primarily this TRD Pro version because this is kind of the halo trim, although it and the Trail Hunter are both the halo trims. As I get in and shut the door has a nice solid sounding thunk. Remember, this is built on the same TNGA-F truck architecture that also underpins the Sequoia and the Tundra. Now you can see all Tacomas now come standard with their company's smart key access system with push button start. You can see it has your usual buttons. It even has a button to open up the tailgate and a panic feature. Toyota also offers a version of their digital key system, so you can use your smartphone as a key, which is nice. Once you get in, you push the red accented TRD Pro button. You can hear, because this is a hybrid, it fires right up. It doesn't have that traditional starter noise. Now, I want you to ignore some of the warning lights in here because this is a very early pre-production truck, but for a very early prototype, you can see the interior is very impressive at a glance. Now, in terms of tech, this is where Toyota has really been stepping up their game lately, and you can see most of the higher trims are going to have their massive 14-inch touchscreen here with the Toyota Connected Services infotainment system, which includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Again, in this truck, this is the biggest screen that you're going to find in the segment. And then when you guys go for the higher trims as well, you're going to get the full digital 12.3-inch display here, which is customizable. Again, 2 digital displays, and you also get a digital camera review mirror, which again brings this truck up to finally modern day standards. In terms of the materials, I'm not going to talk too much about that on a pre-production truck, but you can see the door panel here is nice and soft touch. There's a lot of red accents and stitching, carbon fiber look trim. The upper portion of the dash here is hard touch plastic, but this model here, I want to mention the seats because this beautiful circuit red Softex leather with the technical camo that you also find in something like the Tundra and the Sequoia looks fantastic. This seat also is their new isodynamic seats, which means the seats themselves have an actual suspension built in, which is supposed to help reduce driver fatigue when you're driving in certain off-road conditions because it's going to isolate you from all the nasties in the road independently versus the actual suspension of the truck. It's all really great stuff that's patent pending, so Toyota is really kind of pushing the limits here in the midsize truck segment. Now, in terms of the center stack over here, you can see you have heated and cooled seats. This is the first time we're seeing that in the Tacoma. It's not the first in the segment, but it's nice to see that here on the higher trims. You also have a heated steering wheel. You have dual zone climate control, wireless phone charging pad here, a nice little grab handle here for the passenger, and then you have your drive mode selector over here where this truck offers several different drive modes. There's an eco, normal, and a sport, and then when you go into the multi-terrain select, you can also change the drive mode here to show all different kinds of software tuning for what kind of terrain you're in. There's also a downhill assist control, a crawl control, and then if you can see here, there's a 4-wheel drive system. The TRD Pros still have a part-time 4-wheel drive system where you have 2 high, 4 low, and you also have a limited slip rear differential. You also have that front sway bar disconnect. That's something that Jeep first pioneered. Toyota now offers it as well. And then when you push this button over here, you get the full top-down 360 camera with the multi-terrain view. So that's kind of new for the Tacoma, which you can see it kind of does a full 360 perimeter scan, although I don't find that view particularly useful. I wish Toyota would implement what you find on some of the European vehicles, where you can kind of scroll around the vehicle themselves. If you put the truck into reverse, you can see there's your full 360 camera, which gives you all these different views, including the top-down view. You can also change this view over here, which is really cool, actually. This is very unique to the TRD Pro, and I'll be able to talk about that more when I drive the truck sometime toward the end of the year. Down over here, you can see you have cup holders. You have a nice padded center console area over here, and if you open this up, it looks like there's a safe, which we're just going to leave that one alone because I'm not sure if that's specific to this being a pre-production vehicle. The glove compartment, you can see it's actually damped, and I love how it's leather stitched on that. You can see it's a pretty big size as well. There's a good amount of storage. There's a nice little shelf over here. And then this model here has the 10-speaker JBL audio system with that portable speaker that pops out here, where this Toyota says will actually run for up to like 8 hours, I believe, and you can actually submerge in up to 3 feet of water. So that portable speaker is definitely a nice touch. You also get features like a heads-up display. You can never get that before on a Tacoma. And you can see the steering wheel. It's pretty similar to the one that's in the Tundra as well. You have a manual tilt and telescoping adjustment, no paddles on the wheel, but you have all your controls here for the Toyota Safety Sense 3.0, which you couldn't get that before on the Tacoma. And then above me here, you can see just a standard size sunroof. You can see it has a manual shade. You can open and close this and tilt this. So if you are looking for a pano roof, Toyota sadly doesn't offer it, but you typically don't find that in this class of truck. Now moving on to the rear seat of the new Tacoma, this is the double cab configuration, so it has the full-size doors. However, when you get back here, Toyota wasn't quite ready to talk about the legroom figures just yet. This is pretty similar to the previous generation. There isn't a ton of foot space underneath the front seats, and the old one had around 32 inches of legroom. This, again, looks pretty much the same. You have a hump here that intrudes on the middle passenger. You have 2 USB-C charging ports, an actual power outlet here, which this will supply up to 2,400 watts of power because this is the Hybrid Max. And in terms of storage, you have 1 storage cubby, 2 cup holders. Materials back here are hard touch plastic, so it's not the same soft touch material from the front. And then you can see here, there is no center armrest here, which is kind of a disappointment considering the price point of this one, although we don't know the price just yet, but it's the higher trim. And if you lift this up, you can see that's where the hybrid battery is going to be. There is a 1.87 kilowatt hour. Ignore the fact that you can see everything. Remember, this is a very early pre-production truck. Now, before we wrap this video up, I thought I'd show you guys the other Halo trim in the Tacoma family. This is the all-new Trail Hunter. If you guys remember Trail Hunter, this was first debuted as a concept at SEMA a couple of years ago, and Toyota decided to make it happen because this is the most overlanding capable, factory-built from Toyota, so it's kind of at the same level as the TRD Pro, where that model is more for a Baja off-road truck for doing jumps. This is more for overlanding. You can see it's got its own unique styling elements here. It's the same Toyota Heritage grille, although you can see there are some bronze accents here. You have the same full LED headlights, although it says Trail Hunter in the actual headlight assembly, which is cool. And then you can see the Rigid Industries fog lights here have a yellow tint to them, which I think gives it a really cool, tough JDM look. So let me know what you guys think of that, the styling changes in the Trail Hunter trim. It also has some unique suspension upgrades. So the suspension is done by ARB, and it also has the EMU shocks. So it also kind of gives you the same ground clearance, just slightly under 11 inches because of the additional skid plate protection that this truck gets. And you also have unique wheels. Those are the 18-inch bronze finished wheels riding on a 33-inch Goodyear Wrangler all-terrain mud terrain tire. Now, in terms of the side profile, you can see I love the safari bar that you get at the rear of the vehicle, along with the ability to kind of put a roof tent. This is what people who like to go overlanding or camping like to do. And then following me over here to the back, you can see the Trail Hunter again has somewhat of its own unique look to it. You still have the red rear recovery tow hooks, and this model here also comes standard with the iForce Max powertrain, so it's going to come standard as a hybrid. Now, if you guys are looking to get your hands on the all-new Tacoma, you're going to have to wait a little bit. This truck will be going on sale toward the end of 2023. If you want the iForce Max powertrain, the hybrid, you're going to have to wait until the spring of 2024. Now, of course, no pricing has been announced just yet. The current generation Tacoma is around $28,000. Going up to around $50,000 for the TRD Pro. I'm going to suspect, obviously, this is going to be more expensive. How much more expensive? We don't know, because remember, we just tested new versions of the Colorado and the Canyon, and the fully loaded version of the Canyon AT4X can get up to around $60,000. Now, I don't think Toyota is going to get that expensive, but don't be surprised to see a price tag here of around $55,000 for the fully loaded version. Remember, this model here and the TRD Pro are the 2 new Halo trims, so you get all the off-road capability and most of the luxury features that you get in the limited grade. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my very detailed overview on basically 4 trim levels of the all-new 2024 Tacoma. If you're also looking to see the latest vehicles I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.